Welcome everyone, as we are sponsored by the Fisher family, Li Nishmas Basi Bas Rabbat Shlomo Ben Avram Alevi, Perel Bas Ruvain. We're sponsored Li Nishmas David Ben Chaim, Lefush Shalem Fel Yomis Mechayesar, Yaakov Ben Basi Aleya, for the schus of Avram and Yom Benish Ben Malki Yudis and family. We're sponsored by Yo Klugman and family for their Panos Gzun Nachas. We're sponsored Lefush Shalem for Avigdor Aya Ben Rivkin, the Bas Chayesar, Chana Bas Shoshabina, Rivka Bas Shiralei, Yitzhak Ben Tziyam Ben Dusha, Moshe Meir Ben Esther Fadl, and Meir Ben Chayesar. They should have a Lefush Shalema B'Seich Shar Chayli Yisrael. Mishna Gimel in the 11th parak tells us, Nitaz min atzavar ala beged. If the blood spurted from the neck of the carbon on the clothing of the Kayin, since that blood is not ready to be offered on the Mizbech until it's caught in the clay sharis, ein a toin kibus, the beged doesn't need to be washed. Min ha-keren or min ha-yesayid, if it splashed from the corner of the Mizbech after the Chatas was placed on the four corners, or min ha-yesayid after the remnants were poured to the base, ein a toin kibus, because the mitzvah was already done. It was nasis mitzvah. Nishbach ala ritzpa v'asafai. If it spilled from the neck onto the floor and he collected it from the floor, once it fell on the floor it became disqualified, therefore ein ton kibbutz. If it gets on the garment doesn't need to be cleaned. Ein ton kibbutz ela adam sheniskabel b'kli, only blood that's caught in a clay sharis, v'roi lahazaya, and it's blood that's fit to be sprinkled. In other words, it didn't spill on the floor first, which is not fit to be sprinkled. Nites ad alaor. What happens if the blood splashed from the clay sharis on the hide of the animal? Actually, hefshit, if the hide was not flayed yet from the animal, ein ton kibbutz. It doesn't need to be washed. Mishahofshit, once it's flayed, ton kibbutz, divrei Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Eliezer disagrees. Rabbi Eliezer says, af mishahufshit, even after it's flayed, ein a ton kibbutz, because it's not yet a garment, and only a beged needs to be washed. Ein a ton kibbutz el mekayim adam. The whole beged doesn't need to be laundered, only where the blood sprayed. V'davashu roy lekabel tuma, only that which is fit to be makabel tumah, not if it's not yet fashioned into a beged. And v'roy lekibus, it has to be something that's fit to be laundered. So if it's sprayed on, for example, wood, which is not fit to be laundered, but rather to be scraped, it doesn't need kibus. Now, of the different types of clothing that needs to be laundered, echad ha-beged, it's true with fabric, ve'echad ha-sak, made out of goat's hair, ve'echad ha'or, and hide, tu'un in kibbutz, b'makom kodesh, and the laundering has to be done b'makom kodesh, in the azara. Now, if you cook a chatas in an earthenware vessel, the belia can never be purged, and since after a day and a night it becomes nicer, which is an isikaris, you have to break the earthenware. So shviras klei cheres, the breaking of the earthenware, but makom kaddish is also in a holy place. We're going to see that miraculously it absorbed into the ground. Omeriko shtifa b'klei nechayshis, when you cook in a metal pot, so you could get out the absorption by boiling it and then rinsing it, that has to be done also b'makom kaddish, in the holy place. This din, that the blood has to be washed out of the garment, is a stringency by chatas, which doesn't apply by the other kachei kachim, by the other holy of holies. Again, we want to thank you for joining us. If you want to sponsor next week's Chumash share, 718-916-3100, rmmwsi@aol.com, and have a wonderful Shabbos.